This is one ordinary pepper plant, and with 5 free tricks, no mystery tablet, no magic spoon, you can turn it into a branch-bending glut of fruit, starting with a move that is going to feel completely wrong. Before I get into it, if you want a harvest that actually pays you back, subscribe and stay with me. It genuinely helps. You know the plant I mean. Big, leafy, healthy, dark green from top to bottom. And hanging off all of that effort? 2, maybe 3 sad little peppers. You did everything. You bought the feed. You maybe even tried one of those hyped-up hacks, the tablet in the bottle, the powder that promised a miracle. And still, a bush full of leaves and almost nothing to pick. Here is the first trick, and it starts before the plant is even carrying fruit. Pinch off the very first flush of flowers. Not with scissors, not with a fuss. Just your fingernails, while the plant is still small, nipping those first buds clean off. And yes, I know exactly how that sounds. You have waited weeks for those flowers. Those little white buds are the whole point. They are the promise of peppers, and I am telling you to snap them off and throw them away. If your instinct is screaming not to snap off those first flowers, good. That instinct is exactly what is costing you the harvest. So let me tell you why. A young pepper plant that is allowed to set fruit too early gives up. It stops building itself and pours everything it has into ripening those first 2 or 3 peppers. All that energy gone into a tiny handful, while the plant itself stays small and weak. It fruits once, half-heartedly, and then it is done. Take those first flowers off, and everything changes. Those same weeks now go into the plant itself, into deep, strong roots, into thick, sturdy stems that can hold real weight, and into branches, new side shoots, more and more of them. Because here is the part that matters. More branches means more flowering points. Every single new branch is another place for flowers to form later, and every one of those is another pepper waiting to happen. That is the whole idea the rest of this comes down to. Hold it back now, and it comes back tenfold. A plant you starve of early fruit is a plant that spends that time getting bigger, stronger, and ready to carry a real crop. You are not losing those 2 peppers. You are trading them for 20. So you pinch off that first flush. You let the plant build for a few weeks, and then finally, you let it flower and set fruit for real. And the second you do that, one question decides everything that happens next. What do you actually put in that watering can? Because get the feed wrong right now, and all that structure you built gives you a big, lush, green bush and almost nothing to pick. The wrong feed. The wrong feed. Give a fruiting pepper a nitrogen-heavy feed, and that is exactly what you get. A big, lush, green bush with almost nothing on it. So the second those flowers set and tiny peppers appear, nitrogen becomes the enemy. And here is what to switch to. Potassium. That is the whole switch. Early on, while the plant is all leaf and stem, a nitrogen feed is fine, even helpful. You want that green frame to build. But the moment the first fruit sets, the job changes completely. Nitrogen from here on just grows you more leaf. Potassium is what actually drives fruit set and swells the peppers. It is the fruit driver, plain and simple. Get the timing of that switch right, and you feel the plant change its mind about what it is doing. So what does that look like in the watering can? 1 tablespoon of sulfate of potash in 5 liters of water, once a fortnight, straight to the roots. Not on the leaves, not more often. That is it. And if you would rather not buy a thing, a diluted homemade comfrey tea does the very same job for free. Comfrey pulls potassium up out of the deep soil and hands it straight back to your peppers. No mystery tablet, no magic spoon, just the right feed at the right moment, and it costs almost nothing. Now the third trick, and this is the one people quietly ignore. Water consistently and deeply. Peppers hate a roller coaster. Let them go bone dry, then panic and flood them, and they will drop their flowers on the spot. The very flowers you were counting on. And here is the part worth slowing down for. You will sometimes see a sunken black patch spreading up from the bottom of the fruit. Most people think it is a disease and start spraying. It is not a disease. It is blossom end rot, and it is calcium. Calcium that could not move through a plant that was allowed to dry right out. The calcium is usually there in the soil. The plant just could not carry it while it was gasping for water. So you do not treat it with a spray. You treat it with a rhythm, steady moisture, deep, even watering that never lets the roots swing from drought to flood. Do that and the calcium keeps flowing, the flowers keep holding, and those black patches never start. Feel the difference in your hand. A healthy pepper swelling firm and heavy instead of one softening at the tip. That steady watering is not just one trick sitting on its own. It sets up everything that comes next. And while you are out there with the can in your hand, tell me in the comments which crop keeps letting you down this year. And if honest growing advice is what you have been after, take a second to subscribe. Then straight back to the plant. Because look where you are now. You have pinched, you have switched to potassium, and you have the water steady, and the plant has quietly built itself a good framework of branches, which is the exact moment for the move that feels like sabotage. Taking a sharp pinch straight out of the very top of the plant. And here is what that pinch actually does. Left alone, a pepper plant wants to shoot straight up, tall and leggy, chasing the light on one main stem with not a lot to show for it. Pinch the growing tip out. Just nip the very top off with your fingernail, once it has a good framework of branches under it, and you stop that upward race dead. The plant has nowhere left to go but sideways, so it bushes out, and that is the whole point of doing it. Every place it bushes, it throws a new side shoot. Every side shoot carries its own flowers. More branches, more flowering points, more peppers. That is the same simple maths running right through this plant from the very first trick. One pinch at the top, and you trade a tall, thin thing with fruit at the tips for a wide, sturdy bush studded with it. Now, while you are picking, and you will be picking, keep picking. This is the second half of the same move, and people miss it every single year. Every pepper you take off while it is still firm tells the plant its job is not done. It reads that gap, and it makes more to fill it. That is a plant that keeps handing you fruit right into autumn. Leave them on, though, and you undo the whole thing. Let peppers sit there ripening red on the branch, week after week, and the plant reads that as finished. Seeds maturing, work done, time to stop. It quietly shuts flower production down while you stand there waiting for color. Pick green, pick firm, pick often. The plant follows your lead. Which brings us to the fifth trick, and it costs nothing at all. Peppers are self-fertile, so you would think they would sort themselves out. And on a still day indoors, that is exactly where most people quietly lose half their fruit. Self-fertile only means the pollen inside one flower can fertilize that same flower. It still has to actually move. Out in a breeze, it happens on its own. But in a greenhouse, on a windowsill, on a still muggy afternoon with no air stirring, that pollen just sits there, and the flower drops without ever setting a pepper. so you move it for them. A gentle flick of each flower cluster with your finger, straight across the little white blooms, knocks the pollen loose. Or a light shake of the whole plant at midday, when the flowers are open and the pollen is dry. That does the same across every bloom at once. Midday, dry, one shake. 10 seconds of work, and it sets far more fruit than a plant left standing dead still. And that is the 5. Pinch the first flowers off while it is young, so it builds roots and branches instead of straining over 2 early peppers. Feed potassium the second those tiny fruits appear. Water steady and deep so the calcium keeps flowing and the flowers hold. Top it and keep picking so it bushes and never decides it is done. And shake the flowers so everyone sets. No mystery tablet, no magic spoon. Every single move is free, and every single one is real. Do them in that order, on one ordinary pepper plant. That is all it takes. And what you get at the end of the season is not a few sad peppers dangling off a leggy stem. It is a wide, heavy, branch-bending bush you are pulling firm fruit off every few days, going out with an empty basket and coming back with an armful, begging the neighbors to please. Take some off your hands.